My name is Kathy Lee. I'm a lecturer and an architect at the Glasgow School of Art, and I live here with my partner Richard Elliott. This is our home, and this home came about through some adverse circumstances where we had a fire in our old house, lost everything. It was a chance to start again. So this house came about when we had to think about what our future would be and how we wanted to live as we got old together. We were so proud to get our gold accreditation for our house, and it was a lovely surprise because we followed the principles, and I suppose you don't realise how well you've done it or how easy it's been in order to get that. So simple moves have got us the gold award, which is fab. Yeah, so I think having got the gold award, which is great, I think the way we successfully achieved that is having understood the principles before we even started going into the design, so they became the key guiding parameters of what we wanted to do. And if you have that at the beginning, even if you're just doing a few modifications or DIY to your house in order to improve it, if you keep those in mind and you're thinking of the future and what you'll be like in the future, you know, you're not always going to be, I'm lucky I'm fairly able-bodied, and I haven't suffered too many illnesses. What I think is that we held those principles dear and we kept revisiting them and checking. So sometimes we have deviated a bit. The mirror in the bathroom doesn't comply, but sometimes, hey, it's your home and you want to be able to do something that makes you feel home, not feel as you're going by somebody else's guides or rules. They're not rules, it's just a way to assist you to make your own decisions. And I think that's the freedom, is that once you know the principles and you can make a sensible judgment, and not every solution fits everybody. So it's your decisions, it's up to you, it's your home, but knowing that you may not be in the same state in 10 years time, next week or whenever. So that's the thing that's I think for us, is having the house fire has forced us to think about our future and our lives, and that's been a real jolt, but been a positive jolt.
I mean, I think the contractor and the team on site found working in a house that was specifically looking at being dementia friendly really interesting, and I think that educated them on dementia design as well, and we'd hope that they would take that away to their next projects and be able to talk about that and maybe integrate some of the key considerations into those projects. Making sure that, I think, you know, you take these considerations and you take them from the beginning all the way through the project, and I think from the point where you're going on site, you want to make sure that a lot of that detail is within the contract drawings and within the contract specification, just to make sure that it's done correctly on site. We're very aware of the tonal differences between all of the different elements. So from the concrete floor, we introduced the ply detailing and the ply skirting boards that gave a tonal difference between the floor and the wall. And then the wall colours were also considered within that palette. And we also looked at the tonal differences in the exits from the building. So the main front door being orange, which is tonally different from the black of the building externally. And then any windows that were openable to the outside are tonally different from the frames, so that somebody with dementia would be able to identify them as windows or doors that you could access the building from. So when you come in the front door, you get a clear view right through the building and outside out into the view. And then as you progress into the building, you get into this middle core area where you can almost see every space in the house. So you can see into the kitchen and into the studio, and you can really orientate yourself about where you are in the building. Yeah, we have cross ventilation from the kitchen to the studio and throughout the building. It was a consideration throughout the whole design that the house would be well ventilated. And we also introduced roof lights into the building in different places, and these can be opened and really allow any warm air that's building up to be taken out of the building as well. So it gives a really nice fresh air, and the building is at a constant temperature. Even in quite warm weather, it doesn't get too warm. So the whole house was designed to have a underfloor heating system, which gives us a constant temperature throughout the house, and it's an air source heat pump that is incorporated into the house as well, which is, once set, is fairly straightforward to use for somebody with dementia, which means that somebody living here with dementia can control the temperature within the building quite easily. Yeah, so the bathroom is positioned directly across from the bedroom, and the bed and the toilet positioned so that the toilet can be visible from the beds, so that somebody with dementia can identify that the toilet and the bathroom is directly across from their room. And in the bathroom, we continued the concrete floor right into the bathroom and into a wet room shower to keep flush access into the shower. And we made sure that there was a tonal contrast between the tiles, which are orange, and the white sanitary ware in the bathroom, so that somebody with dementia could easily identify the toilet and the sink, so that we've got the contrast between the tiles, the sanitary ware and the floor. At the beginning of the project, before we looked at the design, both myself and Kathy attended a dementia design training course at the Dementia Centre. So the course gave us the knowledge to allow us to understand how somebody would benefit from dementia-friendly design, or the relationship of the bedroom to the bathroom, so that you had a view from the bedroom of the toilet, so people with dementia would understand where the toilet was when they wanted to go.
What was really good about learning about design for ageing and dementia design is that it actually opened up a lot of opportunities for us. So it gave us some parameters in order to design around. So things like the relationship to the bedroom and the bathroom, and having somewhere open plan. We wanted open plan living anyway. And so that helped us. Knowing that we might end up in a wheelchair, we might end up on a Zimmer frame, I think that's something that allowed us to move away from a conventional bedroomed plan. So it's only one bedroom, but it's quite a big floor area, but it allows us, if we wanted to compartmentalise it in a later date or put in mezzanine levels because of the heights. I think it's that adaptability. So we had the freedom when we were choosing the design to start from scratch, and that's sort of, I suppose, a great benefit of where we started from. Okay, it was quite, dire circumstances with the fire, but it allowed us to start fresh. So we approached the design of the kitchen and the bathroom, the most important rooms of the house, because we use them so much and often take them for granted. We didn't have a huge budget, so the kitchen is actually just a standard off-the-shelf kitchen, and we just applied a design of door front to it. It's not a big kitchen, we've got basic things there, but the design of the doors was really important, and that's something we learned at DSDC, to be able to look beyond the front panel. And often I go into people's kitchens and I was like playing that game, you don't know which way the door opens, or you don't know what's behind it. It's that guessing game. So it was deliberate then to have a view into what's inside the cupboards. So the slots are lovely. They're really nice to use because you just put your hand in. I can imagine when I'm older, might be more arthritic, is to use, the awkwardness of using a door handle, but to be able to just put your hand in and open the cupboards. I found that as never having used that type of handle before, because it's a design that Anne and Faye have come up with, and we were sort of discussing what we'd seen at the centre, and it works really well. So we're really pleased with that. And the bathroom, the things that we benefited from the bathroom is that the concrete floor and the underfloor heating means there's an even temperature in there. You haven't got that coldness when you step out of the shower. So we've just got a curtain, and it allows, it's a level access into the shower. So that means if we are infirm, there's nothing to trip on or nothing to step up on. And I think that's something that, again, you don't foresee when you're doing the design, what the benefits are. So that even temperature in the shower and the bathroom is just lovely. It's just such a pleasant experience.
So we designed the kitchen to be dementia friendly. I think one of the things that we learned at the course was that for somebody with dementia wouldn't realise that there's something behind a cupboard door or a door unless it's visible. So we looked at developing the kitchen to be dementia friendly. So the kitchen cupboards and the drawers have these quite large slots in it on them, which work as a handle to pull the drawers out and open the doors, but also allows somebody with dementia to see what's in the drawer so that their brain understands, or they understand that there is food in the drawers or the cups are in that cupboard.
We at DSDC aim to improve the lives of people with dementia and their families, and a really key part of that is enabling people to age in place. So the home environment is absolutely critical to that. So it is a pleasure to be able to be here with Kathy and Anne, and to have met lots of people within the team to talk about this fantastic project and to hopefully use it as an inspiration to others. The design of the house would be supportive of somebody with an ageing eye because of the very high levels of natural light, which is created through the orientation of the building and the very large windows used throughout. The various spaces are clearly legible in terms of their use. It is clear to understand when you're in the property where the kitchen is and where the living space is. When you move through the property, the sight lines make it very easy for somebody to orientate and understand where they are. Being a visitor to the house is a great experience because I can quite easily orientate myself to know where the bathroom is on arrival, and to know where to go to find the main living area. So my first impressions when visiting the house was that it was very easy to find. It's very distinctive on the street, and that is certainly supportive of somebody looking to come and visit. I think when we talk about the design of houses, we often talk about supporting the people who live there, but I think it's also important to remember that visitors to your home can be people with dementia too. So being mindful that being able to orientate to the front door is important. So on arrival, it's really clear to see where to go, to knock the door, to be greeted. And then when entering through the space, having these beautiful views out through the various picture windows gives a really easy sense of orientation when you're in the space. I can clearly remember where I've come from the road that I've driven in from, and looking out to the hills beyond and enjoying the view. So for somebody living with dementia, it's really important to be able to orientate yourself within any space. You might be in a space that you're very familiar with but still feel lost. So being able to quickly glance around and know exactly where to go to make a cup of tea, to use the bathroom, to turn on the nearest light, all of these elements are important. So when we talk about the design of Glendale Cottage, we can see that there are all of the details of the dementia design principles and the technical details that we cover in the EADDAT tool. They come together holistically in a way to make a space that's really easy to be in and puts people at ease. People with dementia live under a very high level of stress. So the environments in which they're in play a really important role in their stress levels, which impacts the level of cortisol in their body. So if we can provide environments that are supportive, that make people feel at ease, we can help people to reduce the stress levels that they're under and to live their lives as best they can with whatever cognitive impairment they are experiencing. Which is why we describe the design of environments as being the first non-pharmacological intervention in support of somebody. So one of the really successful elements of this project is that the design team and the project client both attended our Intersections of Dementia and Design training course. Having the client and the designer on the same page about what dementia design looks like is clearly really successful. It helps people from the very early stages of the briefing to understand why they might want to think ahead about potential ailments they might face in future in ageing, but also helping the design team to understand the technical considerations that relate to what somebody might experience when living in their home over the course of their life. So one of the really successful elements of this project is that the design team and the project client both attended our Intersections of Dementia and Design training course. Having the client and the designer on the same page about what dementia design looks like is clearly really successful. It helps people from the very early stages of the briefing to understand why they might want to think ahead about potential ailments they might face in future in ageing, but also helping the design team to understand the technical considerations that relate to what somebody might experience when living in their home over the course of their life. So this project is a really fantastic example of how dementia design principles can be applied creatively and on a personal level in the domestic environment. The architect is able to take the technical design guidance that DSDC offer based on our research-informed practice and assimilate that in a creative way to meet the needs of a client with an aspiration of their own that is in line with their personal taste and what they want to have in their own home. The design of the domestic environment is so important because this is the place that we spend most of our time. So not only thinking of that in terms of the house in general, but we spend a lot of our time in the bedroom environment, and we know from research that the air quality in spaces like the bedroom is of critical importance at a time whenever we're most passive and when we're sleeping. So the design of Glendale Cottage is fantastic in the way that it prioritises healthy indoor air quality, which is supportive of health in general for the occupants.
So here's an interesting observation. So having watched my mum get very ill in a fairly conventional home where she only had the room and the ensuite bathroom and quite a small window, I'm sort of trying to imagine what it would be like for her to visit here. And it's such a shame that she couldn't see it, because I think she would have enjoyed that connection, that feeling of being able to see out to the landscape, so the floor to ceiling windows. I think she would have loved, that feeling of freedom and not being contained within a small box. And I think she would have had fun with the kitchen drawers. She might have been challenged by the colour scheme in the bathroom, but the ease of having a shower. So had she been here and she'd needed to get washed and dressed, that would have been so much easier for her. And I sort of feel quite sad that she wasn't able to experience that in her own home, because the houses that she lived in just weren't designed with those things in mind, all those everyday challenges we have when we're older. So it does make me quite sad. So now I'm thinking about when my mum left her last home and went into sheltered housing. It's almost as if you have your memories, your life story scrubbed, and you can only take a very small amount with you. So this house gives us the opportunity to, so yeah, we're quite active. We cycle and we ride on motorbikes. So we're not going to be doing that, but well, maybe we'll. Maybe me and Richie will be just aging bikers. I have no idea. But it means that what we've got is adaptability with this, because we've not given a space to a room to specific activities. It's not a study. It's not a library. It's a space that can be adapted. So I think as our mobility might change, and maybe I'll end up painting or knitting. I've no idea. But this allows us to change our life story, but maybe still have photographs of the bikes. So the things we've done, it allows us to tell our life story, but also to change as we change. as our life changes, and that will happen to everybody. We sort of flip from one thing to another, where we might have a key thing that keeps us going, but I think the house allows us to do that.
So our advice to other architects or designers would be to integrate this in early and throughout the design, so that you have it integrated seamlessly into the project, rather than something that feels like it's been added on towards the end, and something that is being developed holistically throughout the whole project.
So my words of advice would be, I observed how my parents became increasingly frustrated or inhibited by the environment they lived in, and to think about, if you want this place to be your home for future, what can you do to help you if your eyesight's going or your mobility's going? There are simple things that you can do that we've done here, the tonal changes, maybe having the same flooring right the way through, keeping things simple. But I found that the guides that DSDC do really, really useful, and we, both me and Richie and the architects Faye and Anne, learned a lot from it. And if we can keep promoting that to others and letting others know, I'm also teaching my students the same thing. I think that's my advice, is you can do simple things without costing too much money.